the best jungler in the early game at the moment.
Yeah.
So that's a very, very simple ban. Question is, do they want to give him like the likes of a Nidalee? Will they take a potential Lee Sin champion Santorin used to play a lot of as well, like most of the junglers around there, the competitive scene?
He's played plenty in Italy. We'll see. TSM taking quite a while on that second ban. They go for the Nidalee themselves, so not allowing Spirit to have that, but it does take it away from Santorin at the same time.
And now all of a sudden you're left with the choice, are you bold enough to go for the first pick Lee Sin and force TSM to go for the Jarvan, which more than likely wouldn't happen, seeing as how Vi is actually Santorin's most played champion besides the Jarvan. But now, as we mentioned in all the previous games, Jarvan is nerfed. His E no longer gives him armor. That flag that you max second, which would give you up to 50 armor, is no longer there, making his early jungling and his teamfight versus heavy physical damage compositions just very lackluster in terms of the tanking ability that he has now.
And we've really seen it today. Whenever Jarvan was against the likes of a Rek'Sai, an early jungler, Jarvan has suffered a lot.
Yeah, now the Maokai, the final ban for TSM. So now we're the first pick for WE, and wow, do you think a first pick Jarvan? Right after you guys talked about the loss of armor, is he actually going to lock this in?
So it's been the main pick, honestly, for Spirit. I mean, he's played so much Jarvan, and clearly he feels like it's still strong enough. This should be an Lee Sin coming in, or a Vi for Wild Turtle, or not for Santorin, sorry, on the side of Team Solomid here. And also, I mean, the thing is, you don't take anything away from Team Solomid with this Jarvan pick. Nothing at all, because there's so many other junglers they most likely rather play. And this is simply just Spirit saying, I need a mobile jungler who can make plays, and also a bit more maybe teamfight focus coming in from Will Elite side.
What this tells me, though, is that perhaps Spirit has a lot of trust in his lanes in terms of setting up early ganks now. No Annie has been banned, and you know the Annie Jarvan has an incredibly strong level 2. You can go for just a Gromp into a mid lane gank, and unless Bjergsen was to take cleanse, which is now no longer likely because he is on that Zed, he becomes a lot more vulnerable to being picked on in the mid lane.
Yeah, and that LeBlanc is still open, and I'd be pretty inclined to take that.
It's not the best matchup though in the mid lane. I mean, Zed does really well into LeBlanc and also forces her to go early Hourglass, making her slightly weaker, and at least in terms of her pick potential. And it's a matchup Bjergsen has played multiple times. I mean, the guy is known for his Zed, and I feel like that's why they don't go for it.
Yep, Diana picked up and said Morgana as well. Grabbed for possibly a support pick.
Somebody's been taking a page out of Fox's book in the Diana.
Could be Diana top lane.
Could be Diana jungle with the Jarvan top lane as well.
Could be a Jarvan top lane. It's a lot of flex picks on the WE side right now, honestly.
I mean, we saw Diana top lane early in the LPL today.
Yeah.
So I believe it was, I want to say Vici Gaming who played it, with Carry up there in the top lane, and it worked pretty well, honestly. So they haven't shown too much yet. A lot of flex pick coming in from the side of World Elite over here, and obviously Bjergsen and Team Solomid. Honestly, a very standard composition coming in. We talked about this Lee Sin now that Rek'Sai Nidalee has been banned that way, so no real surprise there.
Now, something notable about the TSM composition is that they don't have a lot of actual really hard crowd control, unless it's coming out of a massive Dragon's Rage from Santorin, or just one Glitter Lance or a massive AoE ultimate by the Lulu, which is more than likely going to be top lane Lulu. They don't have the ability to really lock down somebody, especially if they are hit with a Black Shield. So that Diana can have a really easy time getting into the backline and really just wrecking havoc, which would lead me to believe that the last pick coming out from TSM would more than likely be something like a Thresh and just going for an all-out fight in the jungle composition and just really avoid that 5-on-5 that World Elite has clearly drafted a much better 5-on-5.
Oh yeah.
Do you think this puts a lot of pressure on TSM to really make things happen in the early game? Because we're seeing a composition that looks like it's going to fall off pretty hard.
Absolutely, because you know, Zed will eventually lose the 1v1 to Diana if that lane eventually goes even, because of her, in the current meta, her item path is so nice. You can go with the Hourglass, the Abyssal, and then the Nashor's Tooth. You know, it's pretty perfect right now. And wow, it could be the support Lulu and Darius going on that top lane carry.
So they would give them a bit more team fighting from Team Solomid, but their combo is still very much built around creating picks with this Zed here. You got the wave clear of a Corki, obviously. You got the Lee Sin to assist Bjergsen. That's a very, very strong 2-on-2 skirmish. But Diana in the late game, if she goes for Nash's Tooth, she's gonna beat Zed in a split push, and that's going to be a big problem then, because suddenly you don't really have any other options than grouping as 5, and then you're going to run into a massive front line of Jarvan and Sion. I like how World Elite is putting a Luka on Sion, because again, he has been the weak link, honestly, of the team, so you want to get him on a massive tank, where his job is basically just stand in front of Team Solomid and take a lot of hits in your face. And all around, good lanes from World Elite coming in here on Team Solomid. I want to see if they can take this early lead and use the Zed to split push, or if they're gonna have to simply play around vision to create picks before fight even breaks out. Because if they get engaged on by Sion and Jarvan together, there's nothing that's gonna save this Kennen pick at all. I mean, he's gonna die instantly, basically, and he won't get to use his ulti properly.
I mean, if you look at this, they've got a lot of ways to just absolutely blow up TSM's back line, and Corki becomes kind of a risky pick because of that too.
We see the comps locked in here. They're gonna get on the Rift in just a second, right after this.
Welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship. My name is Joe Miller. Joining me for this game is Quickshot and Monte Cristo. I'm just going to dive straight in there. TSM, the #1 seed coming out of North America, against Team WE, who are not having a good time whatsoever in China. Are TSM as bigger favorites as those seeds make out?
They should be. World Elite are playing with substitutes as well.
Yeah, substitutes. I mean, maybe their roster going forward. Obviously, they've made some adjustments right here. You know, speaking as to Mystic's ability, was never a terribly impressive carry back in the Korean scene, but his solo queue record seems to mean things may be turning around.
So here we go then. WE versus Team Solomid, who will go on to play CJ Enters in the game after this, and who's going to have to battle the way up from that lower bracket in the group if they want to move through into playoffs. We'll find out here. Monty, why don't you take us through some of these picks, because there's some interesting ones, especially over on WE.
Yeah, this Shia's pick is interesting, but this actually was one of his most played champions in the last season. We had Rachel do some, take a look at some of these team compositions and these picks from these players, and so he's kind of reviving an old classic for himself, and something he definitely should be comfortable on. And the backline assassination potential with the Graves is pretty intense.
A bit of damage exchange already in the early stages of this one. Lustboy and Mystic having a bit of a go at each other down on that bottom side of the map. We had the cool Aluka and Dyrus having a go at each other on the top side of the map, and well, they're just having a little bit of fun before we get things started. Dyrus here might actually be in some kind of trouble as Spirit is going to start coming up here, but we'll surely be able to just walk off. There we go. Flag will come down. Actually did land, and Dyrus is going to recall here shortly.
Advanced warding, Joe.
Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
tactic. All the information is with TSM, but of course he manages to get out with his life.
Yeah, some nice early wards right there. They will see the jungle start pretty much no matter what at this stage, unless WE tries something a bit unorthodox. Still, they'll get the information that they want. You do see Aluka motioning down towards the bottom side right now, so we'll see how this start goes for them, what their plans are.
Double teleport from Xie, flash teleport for that mid lane, so in terms of all-in potential, until Xie gets that hourglass completed, Bjergsen may have the one-on-one play, which is something he's been able to do exceptionally well over in North America. Hashtag standard. Different camp this time round.
Going for the Raptor camp just for the teleport right back up into the top side.
So this is something that really frustrates fantasy players in the LCS because, of course, early level 2, burn that teleport, get up into lane, and just tank it out. What we do like from Aluka is just some good wards.
Well, did you pick Aluka on your Intel Extreme Masters fantasy team, Joe Miller?
No, I didn't, actually. And, you know, I know it's viable doing that. I also think that if you're going to be called in to use your teleport at some point in the near future, you look like a bit of an idiot.
Well, I mean, it's a hard matchup, though. Dyrus does have that constant harassment with the Doran's Blade and some scrapping going on down early.
Oh, good damage trade back and forth. Yujie lands the Dark Binding. I really like the fact that Mystic and Yujie actually got that early level 2. Something that they've not had the same success over in the LPL is disrespecting their opponent's level 2 all-ins. However, that was with a different AD carry with STYZ. So this time around, they get away unscathed.
And Dyrus doing a lot of harassment right here on the blue buff of Spirit. He will get chased out as the threat of the Scion collapse comes through, but that will deny a little bit of CS right there, keep that pressure up. So TSM just trying to control the tempo of this game right now and do anything they can to slow down Spirit. Look how active they've been about keeping wards on Spirit in this game. TSM definitely has a good game plan. They know that Spirit is the threat on this team, and Santorin coming in from behind.
This could be extremely interesting. What are they going to be able to do? Will they get in close enough? There we go, close in onto Xie, but he'll be able to walk away and was very patient with the flash as well, decided not to use it. Able to walk out, but that means that Bjergsen has a fair bit of time now to get some farm going in that middle lane.
And take a look at how Xie had actually itemized in that mid lane. 4 cookies as well as the flask. That is some really all-in levels of sustain. Realizing it's going to be difficult at those low levels against Zed, but as a lot of the players have discussed, they like Diana into Zed for multiple reasons. The shield, the all-in power, the itemization. The longer the game goes, the better Diana's going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And with this huge front line, I know the expert desk was talking about it as well, but how tanky and how bruisery Diana gets here. If this game goes long, TSM may find themselves in a bit of trouble just because they won't be able to chew through a Sion Jarvan Diana combo. And of course, Gray's with a little bit more tankiness than most of the AD carries as well. So it can be a rough situation here. WE has an opportunity, if they don't fall too far behind early, to really just outscale.
See that fair amount of damage already traded on this bottom side. See how Mystic does. One of the big question marks we have about Team WE in this game, along with Xie, of course, in that middle lane. Now he's going to be able to step into it, but so far Mystic taking a lot of damage, but sticking around from this one. I think they might have to recall at some point soon there, though.
Spirit is trying to bait it out right now. He does have the Raptor buff, so he knows he hasn't been seen yet, but they're not going to take the bait, and instead we may just see big recall. Spirit is going to find Trinket Ward forward and remove it, but that's a little bit of a reveal, and Santorin immediately into the enemy jungle.
Yeah, we'll see if they can make use of that deep vision. Smart play from Santorin. Definitely a jungler that is a lot more committed to working with Bjergsen than most of the other lanes. You tend to see Wild Turtle and Lust Boy left to fend for themselves fairly often, and they've got a safe enough lane to be left in that 2v2 for an extended period.
Well, and the mid lane pressure is allowing them to get these deep wards in as well. If we look at what Santorin's doing, this game so far for TSM, from the pick and ban face forward, is about controlling Spirit. This is just a fantastic plan. Spirit is such a dangerous jungler right now, and just from having watched him, as Dyrus takes a little bit of harassment right there, just from having watched him both in his time on Samsung Blue and now on World Elite, he is so much more intelligent and active on the map right now. In fact, I feel that he's a better jungler than he was when he was back on that Samsung Blue team, where he played mostly a very mechanical and reactive role to what was going on. And now that he has really very gracefully shouldered the burden of being able to carry this team, making the plays and setting up his team for success.
Well, Luca's going to catch Dyrus once more. This is a matchup that Dyrus has not been able to bully his way into a lead, despite having a double Doran's Blade. Luca had level 6 earlier, keeps kicking those minions into Dyrus's face, and CS, as even as it's going to be, once Dyrus last hits a few more under the tower, actually even Stevens across the board. We do see the first back. Mystic with a pickaxe back in lane against the Phage of Wild Turtle. So small mismatch in that regard. As long as Turtle doesn't get hit by a binding, he'll be more than fine though.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the double Doran's Blade coming in onto Kennen. That's such a delay in his build, and Kennen is one of the most item-dependent champions that we currently see in the meta. And so any delay at all does make sure that your power spike can't hit quite as soon. Spirit looking for a lane gank right now. Maybe a little bit difficult.
Especially because Dyrus has got flash.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that minion wave is pushed up here, which might actually be fairly obvious to Dyrus at this point. Half HP for him. Actually, Spirit did just hit level 6 there, thanks to those minions going down, and he's already pushed up. The question is, will they risk diving in Kennen with Flash still up under the tower? I don't think so.
Yeah, they may have been looking for a counter gank there, just seeing what they could do and bait Santorin up in the top by pushing that wave forward, but you know, they have no wards deep into the topside jungle, so this is risky.
They're still sticking around. Here comes Aluka. He finds the wall. Dyrus puts on his blue suede shoes. And he does flash away, but this might cost the tower.
Yeah, especially now that Diana's actually moved up onto this top side of the map. They've got 4 creeps there with them to help finish this one off, but Luca are actually just going to push out the wave. Meanwhile, TSM reacting finally to this, you know. Dyrus uses flash up top. Yes, they might lose a turret on the next wave or two, but they're going to take the first dragon of the game as well.
Yeah, I think that gank just had an extremely low chance of being successful. Late TP and out of the mid side too, so you take that summoner spell, don't use it very well early. And that means that, you know, Bjergsen just has that continual pressure with the Ignite on the laning phase. We've seen Jie go back with the double Doran's Ring start as well. His build is extremely delayed.
A lot of Doran's items on the map thus far from very item-dependent champions. Diana, maybe not quite as difficult. We touched on Wild Turtle needing to avoid those dark bindings. He's going to be able to Vulcan flash away, but that was definitely not worth it.
Yeah, playing too far forward in the lane when your support is off trying to provide that vision for you, and he's pretty punished for it right now. It may set up a play here from Spirit depending on where he decides to gank next. Again, Dyrus with the very deep wards every time going in. Again, carrying that bit of risk, but as long as Bjergsen continues to shove that mid wave, he's getting him in a little bit for free.
Oh, Bjergsen going for this one here. I think he might have got the damage as well. He will. His first blood for Bjergsen. 1 versus 1. This bottom lane might face a bit of pressure. Actually, a decent little turnaround. Wild Turtle will dodge out on the binding. Mystic super low from this one. Another rocket comes in. Turtle gets hit with the tower there as well. Super close stuff in the bottom lane.
Wild Turtle and Lustboy going all in, but the exhaust and summoner heals, keeping Mystic Yishe alive. Such a difficult name to pronounce for me. Wild Turtle and Lustboy. Keep in mind, Wild Growth and Exhaust is still up, so despite the all-in, Wild Turtle and Lustboy actually won that 2v2.
TSM turning it on here and playing around that vision that they've been so adamant about getting down into this game. So for them right now, it's about turning this pressure and the chips that they've managed to take out of these turrets so far into that big gold lead that'll carry him through. Santorin again, more deep wards coming in, and he's going to get caught by Aluka. Let's see if he survives.
Seems to be the case for now. He's hopped over to the wall. Sion's got the ability to run in. He's going to find nobody, but he does get the flash, so good trade. Thinks that far around.
Coming charging down like that. Never want to get caught out bit, but as you said, Santorin not got that flash available for the coming moments. We are going to be seeing blue buff gifted over, and that bottom lane is dangerous. Wild Turtle will come through, an instant wild growth from Lustboy, but is it enough to save him? It's not now as the binding goes down, but Mystic will actually die here. Lustboy able to turn that one on its head and may just have the damage to finish off Morgana as well. Can he pull this one off? Chasing in as far as he possibly can, and gets the finish, and that'll be a double down bottom for Lustboy.
Yeah, cute little move right there coming in, but very good turnaround by Lustboy. Instantly reacted to with that wild growth, and again, the summoners helping out a little bit there, and Xie now coming in. Spirit looking like they want to dive the Kennen up in the top side.
No flash this time around, so timer should still be known by World Elite. They've got 3 members moving up. Tower is still alive. How long can Dyrus stay alive? He's going to stun them for a few seconds. It seems to be the tower that they want to focus down. Dyrus now in full retreat, but he's not going to make it out of this one. World Elite will get their second kill on the board as well as their first tower.
Yeah, but trading turret for turret right there, that was a pretty big investment for World Elite. Now, no real counterplay available on the map at the moment. And Yujie having to come down here and just delay the push on the tower. So Mystic alone in the bottom side, at least for the moment. But TSM doing a great job with their vision control this game and really pushing forward constantly.
Bjergsen continues to rack up the CS, 120 to 86 now. Of course, with Shie moving out of that lane a couple of times and was forced back early as well. That's probably to be expected. Meanwhile, Wild Turtles out farming Mystic as well at this point. Top lane is slightly in favor though of Alukan. Look at this from TSM. Bjergsen, Santorin, and Lustboy sat there waiting for someone to make a move over. Will Shie go? Oh, those Raptors were slightly unfortunate timing overall.
Definitely the case, but TSM actually trying to make use of the vision control they've had throughout the game. TSM have invaded and put deep wards multiple times. This time they tried to look for a gank, it didn't work out. We do see Spirit, he's found Lustboy. Lustboy's not going to make it out of this one. And unfortunately, the exit path through the jungle ran straight into World Elite, and small misplay there from Lustboy, I feel, despite all the vision.
Yeah, it's curious that the one path that's not warded down to that area is exactly the one that Spirit managed to take there, and yeah, just walking into a trap, basically.
Yeah, a little bit lucky, that's for sure. And TSM with the wards over the Raptor side, they need to continue to take these Raptors away from Spirit, because that's kind of how you get back into the game, is by using the smite onto the Raptors to get that extra little bit of vision control over your own jungle. And if TSM can continue to take them and pile up all those wards into the bottom side, it makes it very safe for them to continue to play aggressively.
And I like the fact that TSM came out the gate swinging. They've had a very clear game plan as far as controlling World Elite and Spirit was concerned. They've executed the deep vision. One or two small misplays has cost them a few kills, but every time World Elite has made a play in the top half of the map, TSM has responded. They got the first Dragon, and they got their middle outer turret. The Dragon up in 15 seconds. The vision has been cleared out of World Elite's jungle, so TSM not going to have the same level of control that they had a few minutes ago.
Yeah, I think one of the big issues, though, as we see Dyrus and Aluka scrap it up out in the top side, is that Aluka did go for this Banshee's Veil first, and he, you know, the Trinity Force now done, so there will be some extra physical damage if Wild Turtle can get into auto range right there. And Bjergsen is a major threat. A lot of times we see Frozen Heart first on Sion. Obviously not ideal for this matchup, but the very nice mixed damage comp from TSM should be doing some work.
Should be, but I don't know if they're going to be able to kill him at the end of the day. 130 CS at 15 minutes. Corki's not a tank killer, nor is Kennen, really. I'm a little scared the longer this goes, because Scions can become ridiculously beefy. We see them a lot in EU.
Yeah, absolutely. But at least for right now, that Blade of the Ruined King will be doing work if they can actually close it. But yeah, I think the later this game goes on, absolutely, that is a major, major consideration. TSM is under a bit of a timing window with this composition, where if WE can kind of ride out the Kennen stun, there's not going to be much left there as long as they can position properly. There's a ward.
Oh, and there's trap set up there. The Spirit's going to go down straight away, and this is going to be at least 2 kills here. Bjergsen gets the first one. We'll get the second one. Here come the rest of the team, and that's a lot of damage. Bjergsen shut down. There is Shie diving in, but Dyrus with his ultimate running. They should be able to finish off Aluka without losing any more men. This should be a 4 for 2 and will be in favor of TSM.
And Mystic just not there to set that one up. They didn't actually place the pink down in the brush fast enough in order to take that out. And I mean, you see WE playing with these 2 newer players to their roster. The synergy just hasn't been there. We've seen the kind of awkward teleports in this game so far that the timing has been off, and they aren't all on the same page in terms of how they want to control these objectives.
Definitely not. I like the fact that TSM were aggressive enough to jump in there. The moment they realized that World Elite had started clearing the ward out, Bjergsen instantly hopped over the wall, had the support of Lustboy, and Bjergsen is doing a great job this game. If you notice, he got his Blade of the Ruined King, Trinity Force completed for Wild Turtle, Lucidity Boots for Lustboy, so TSM have got this powerful state of play at the moment. And I think they need to make use of it further. Look to set up more dragons or look to push more towers.
Yeah, it's all about who can stop the split push at the moment. WE starting to move in around that dragon a bit. So they try and take control over the crab. Pretty poor vision overall around this objective from TSM. But I think they're in such a power spike right now, it may be very dangerous for WE to fight.
Interesting to see that TSM had control of the dragon off that fight, but didn't have the wards to invest in clearing it. Dragon's going low, but Shie's jumped onto Dyrus.
Dyrus has no ult.
Looks like Santorin wants to try steal this one, Joe.
Yeah, this could be close as well. We see that she actually fairly low. It will go over to WE, but how does the fight go? Aluka already low. Sandrine and Bjergsen, though, will be getting locked up here. But Morgana goes down. Bjergsen bouncing in and around everyone using that death mode. A Wild Turtle has managed to pick himself up the triple there. They'll finish off the rest of them. And that is an ace for 2 here for TSM.
WE may have thought they had a little bit of a window right there with the ultimate down on the Dyrus, but TSM is in a massive power spike on Zed and Corki as well. So this is exactly the wrong time for WE to go in there. They can push the lanes, maybe take out that mid side, but let's take a look at this one again. Kick up, Aluka has a trouble finding the target, misses his stun completely, but he does delay them long enough. However, he's already taken so much physical damage over the course of that fight. Lustboy comes in, great ult on himself right there to tie up the back line, and Turtle able to clean up that one pretty easily.
And something else to highlight is TSM were completely spread out across the entirety of the river. So the AoE from Mystic, from Xie, simply not all that impactful. You see how quickly everybody flashed away from the Morgana Soul Shackles. TSM did not group in the AoE that World Elite could put down, and TSM took advantage of the item spikes that they had accrued for themselves over the last few minutes. Keep in mind they did give up Dragon, but you don't mind because they traded for the tower, a bunch of kills, and what's this, a 4,500 gold lead. So a confident start here for Team Solomid out of North America.
Yeah, I mean, they look very good in this game, very well prepared for this specific opponent as well. See Lustboy picking up that Talisman of Ascension pretty quick here onto his Lulu. So just more and more engage, helping out Kennen. Maybe not need Flash in order to get a convincing engage down.
Yeah, and Bjergsen's at that state now. Blade of the Ruin King, Brutalizer, Last Whisper, where you're going to struggle to really control him on those side lanes. You've seen him take out the first turret. Xie actually doing the same down the bottom, but Bjergsen is still on that top side of the map. We can see a couple of men from WE coming around there, just seeing what they can find, but TSM will be long gone before they can get anywhere near. Let's have a look at the gold overall. About 5,000 gold lead at the moment for TSM up in the towers. And plus 12-7 in kills, which is spread nicely between Bjergsen and Wild Turtle.
And something you have to highlight, that was a first pick Zed, first pick Corki for TSM on the red side rotation. These two champions are working out in their favor exquisitely. And they make use of the early kills that Bjergsen and Wild Turtle had accrued for themselves over the course of the CSing and itemization, and it's very, very smart play. The real test for TSM now comes in, how do they close the game down? There's relatively good wave clear between the Diana, the Graves, the Morgana, as long as they don't get poked out of the tower. But we'll see if TSM can maintain some vision control. They look to be trying to set up a play on Xie, but he's going to teleport to safety. Cooldown blown.
Yep, that's another one, and I'm just not really sold on this teleport we've seen from Diana. It has resulted in 1 kill so far, but by running the TP, they so totally lost control over the mid lane, constantly having to play under the turret, and that allowed Spirit to be consistently red over the course of this game. They knew exactly where he was, and they shut him down so that he couldn't actually make the plays to carry this team.
Wild Turtle's going to gently rub Aluka's back as he gets off, what was that, 4 auto attacks basically. Not gonna do a whole lot. Luka's building up his armor, but look at TSM, maybe trying to set up another one of those pincer maneuvers. Spotted up by the pink ward though, so TSM should back away from this.
Yeah, really smart just to back off instantaneously. They thought maybe they would get a free pass onto the back line, but not even bothering to keep on moving towards them once they knew that they had been seen, and it's just Mid-push game right now, very difficult to stop Bjergsen. Although Frozen Heart done on Aluka, he's starting to get a bit scary.
I think a tanky sign's always going to get terrifying. And that double teleport, while it hasn't paid off yet, I also think there is a lot of safety in the later game to help deal with the Bjergsen split push, to give World Elite much more options to play around. Having Aluka and Xie having the option to move around the map, but they need to get there. And at 5k cold down a tower, they can't afford to hemorrhage more gold or hemorrhage more items to their opponents.
Yeah, there's no doubt that this teleport is going to be the superior the superior summoner spell in that late game. But like you're saying, it's just a matter of getting there, and the deficit is already so large that if WE tries to fight them again in a 5v5, the game may just end. If they can just somehow continue wave clearing and avoiding that damage, there is a chance for success. I mean, we do see the Dragon coming up in 45, but this would only be TSM's number 2. So really, WE does have a lot of time to work with right here before that really 5 Dragon stacks comes into play.
Well, they are going to be pushing the mid lane for now, and actually with all 5 members, Wild Turtle will come across from this one. They've got Bjergsen down on the bottom lane there, but is he going to stick around for that one? Santorin and Lustboy are both coming up, but they're going to lose this inner turret. Dyrus actually diving right into the middle of them here, but is he going to fall? Actually, we'll get the Wild Growth to keep him alive. World Elite have got a couple of really, really low players in this one. Wild Turtle will now come around, a flash away from the Cataclysm as he goes down. This is a close fight, and we see already a couple of men dropping
Here
from
comes
each side.
Bjergsen.
Mystic going to be in trouble as well. Wild Turtle will be picked up, but now Bjergsen in there. Deathmark on Aluka. He will be finished off there as well. And that is 4 men down. Jarvan already back to base there.
That fight started as a 3v5, and TSM were able to combo their CC and their survivability so well. That was a great team fight for Team Solomid.
Yeah, but at the same time, if we look at WE, they really weren't all on the same page right there. Spirit, in fact, used his Cataclysm just to clog the choke and then flash back out. Half of them were committing, half of them were going back in, and Spirit has managed to make it out of that one.
Misplays from World Elite in terms of maybe communication. I think the substitutes shine through. There you go, Monty.
Yeah, right here. So you do see the Dyrus stun coming through. Good knock-up at the end of that as well. But look at what they could have done right here. They try to back off. Now Spirit Cataclysms flashes out. Run right now. Bjergsen's coming in from the side, but Mystic and Aluka decide to go ahead and re-engage on that one, and Wild Turtle just escaping with a sliver of health. Mystic does manage to take him out, but I think you just got to back away and say, hey, we got that tier 1 turret. They didn't get a turret at all. You have to remember what the win conditions are. You need to go to that late game.
Yeah, Xie also followed in there with that Lunar Rush on Diana. Maybe sensing some blood in the water, but unfortunately for World Elite, TSM came out ahead, and they did secure the Dragon there, I believe, which is number 2 or 3? Number 2 for Team Solomid.
And some items finished off just after that as well. Dyrus now has that Zhonya's Hourglass. That'll make him feel a little more comfortable about diving into the middle of the pack and staying safe while he does so. And of course, Wild Turtle, who's leading the charge in terms of kills at 7-2-5. Infinity Edge, got that Trinity Force and Vamp Scepter in there as well. In fact, he's just been taking that blue buff over on their side of the map, and now WE trying to set something sneaky up in that mid lane brush.
Let's see if they can make it work. Not those sweeping lasers out to clear the vision, but you know, Lustboy 2-2-12, involved in 14 of his team's 16 kills. It might not be Juggermore, but support Lulu is doing work. Oh, Centauron's going to get caught by the Dark Binding. He might go down here, Joe.
Yeah, Wild Growth, though, it's a wonderful thing. However, there's not going to be a second one for Wild Turtle, who already used his Valkyrie, and he's down and out of this one. Dyrus will jump into the middle. Where is the Zhonya's? He gets the stun. Zhonya's will be used. Yusha is going to go down, and Dyrus will fall just after, and that leaves Bjergsen all on his own in the middle of the pack. He'll try and get off to the backside. Yusha is not taking enough damage as Bjergsen jukes off onto his shadows. And I think he's managed to escape this one. We see there Santorin and Lustboy recalling on the top side of the map, and Bjergsen, I believe, is safe there.
But that's a great delaying tactic from WE, and I'm not sure what Wild Turtle was doing on the side of that fight. Good engage in order to catch him out. getting him after the Valk was used, and they're just going to push up the lane. And this is what WE needs. They need that time. They need that breathing room. They don't get an objective off of it. They're not so bold as to try and take a Baron at this stage, which would be quite difficult for them, given that they're still trying to scale into some damage right here. But they couldn't have asked for a better pick to have made. And honestly, TSM pretty much had gotten out of that scot-free before the collapse onto Turtle happened.
Yeah, 2 for 1 in the team fight. Well, Delete will be happy. Aluka's got over 3,000 hit points already, continues to stack up the armor. Makings of Arandian's Omens for Spirit. Still no tier 2 boots for Xie, but a lot of damage to be followed up with that Nash's Tooth and Hourglass. So tools are there for World Elite if they can find the right team fights. TSM have been somewhat split. If you think of the last fights, TSM have been spread out and have been reacting to World Elite. And I don't know if they can afford to do that as this game continues to tick on. Still 2 teleports to deal with, still super tanks to come through. If you look at all of World Elite, they're actually all pretty bruisery, pretty in-your-face champions.
Yeah, and in terms of countering the split push, those 2 teleports, it really can't be overstated how much that is going to be useful right here, because they can effectively choose to split push twice as often as long as they can continue to force ports. So it's a very large advantage. See Bjergsen, an elixir right there, already trying to get some more kills and snowball it into a tower. And we see WE looking for catches in the mid lane as well.
But you can see TSM stalled out just a little bit. They developed this great play, dragon fight, team fights, presence on the lanes, but they've not been able to commit to those inner turret sieges. So TSM slowing the game down, and this plays into World Elite's favor just a little. And you see TSM trying to set up the death bush again. It's not working out. They didn't find any targets, and now they're going to get encroached upon. Going to jump onto Xie, so that's an instant Hourglass as the team fight erupts. World Elite, they're committing from behind.
How are they going to pull this one off there? Dyrus once again right on top of at least 2 or 3 of them. Their Spirit down to half HP. He'll be the first target here, but look at the damage onto Bjergsen, onto Santorin, and there is Wild Turtle. He's still hammering away on the backside, but they're going to lose Dyrus. Santorin managing to mop up there in the end, and that is going to be a 4 for 2. Will they catch Aluka? I'm not sure they will. Santorin manages to follow through. They get the slow as well. If they get this kill, it's certainly going to take them all the way to the base. That tower is still alive though, so Aluka should be safe for now.
4 for 2. Wild Turtle carries on the chase, ignoring the tower for the time being. Santorin as well as Lustboy bring up the minion wave, and this will be a 2 for 4 team fight, but plus a tower. TSM come out ahead, but it was very, very scary.
But the gold lead isn't actually moving right here. It's been sitting at 4 to 5k. Now Xie here does get a drop from Bjergsen and has to use his Zhonya's Hourglass immediately, which means it's not available to counteract the stun. Bit of a slow port in reaction from Aluka. Dyrus moving in order to get the 3-man. And this flank up here completely removes Mystic from the fight. Even though they're fighting over the speed shrine of WE, they don't allow them to move forward. And Lustboy gets that very nice exhaust, so it's an easy kill. And then it's just tanks left at the end.
Yeah, Aluka's actually been pretty well known for having some late teleports over in the LPL. And then, as you mentioned, a few seconds late to that team fight, had that big beefy frontline, maybe been able to get to Mystic. Could have worked out. But World Elite will secure their second dragon of the game. So that 5 dragon buff is a long way away, and Team Solomid still have to find a way to crack open the match.
That's really actually quite disconcerting, because we are at 4 towers to 4 towers right now. The dragons have been evened up, and WE, even though they die, the actual objectives just it's just not quite enough. And WE coming in here with that extreme tankiness, it's going to be quite scary. And yeah, that's a righteous glory Lulu. So Lustboy playing this like we'd see an Annie.
See if he can come up with a big plays. I mean, 17 assists so far, plus the 2 kills, let's not forget. He's been involved in a lot of kills here so far. We see Abyssal Scepter picked up for Dyrus. Are they going to use that to try and start off something here? Bjergsen will be moving in through that enemy jungle. There are wards in there. They're one in the Tribush, one on that bottom side, which will spot them out. Lustboy should see that Tribush ward though, and that makes him realize, okay, they know we're here. We should probably back off from this scenario, although the other 3 members of TSM aren't too far behind.
Yeah, they're going to get some deep wards down. At this stage in the game, they could play the Baron bait One thing I do like from Aluka is he's picked up that pickaxe, so interested to see where he goes with his damage. You know, so much HP. I think it's about 3,500 at this point. You saw how long it took TSM to just chunk him through half of his hit points. So if he can get some damage to back up that extreme tankiness, can give World Elite even more threats in the extended team fights.
You can't bait Baron though when there's a ward on top of it.
That is words of wisdom. That is. I'm a bit surprised. Oh, wow.
They baited it anyway. Somehow World Elite walking into a trap here and they lose 2 men instantly. There's the third one. Aluka's not going to be able to walk away from this, and Diana back in base, and I said they're not going to be able to bait it out there. I'm not quite sure why WE committed to pushing through.
That was an incredible error on their part to be caught in a choke point like that when they had the necessary information. Not to mention, one of the big problems here too is that Mystic just hasn't even upgraded his trinket right now into a scrying orb. So there wasn't even a secondary way to check that brush. You have to have that orb at this point in the game.
And I think you have to ask the question, how is World Elite's communication? Why was it not discussed that maybe they're baiting, maybe TSM's trying to clear? Chie has gone in and he's just gone down. In terms of that calling, in terms of that communication, do we think TSM is playing the bait? You saw them clear the Tribush ward earlier. You saw them in the lane. You have to make the assumptions at 30 minutes that Team Solomid is placing jungle vision for the Baron game.
Yeah, I absolutely. There's no question. Very odd decision from WE right there in a game that they were doing an okay job of lasting out. But that bait right there, that's the straw that's going to break the camel's back. That's the massive gold lead acquired that they needed. Of course, with the Baron buff and a team composition that is comfortable split pushing. Lucas TP back up right now, but TSM should be rolling to a win.
Yeah, and that was the big breakthrough that TSM had been looking for. Pushing the lanes didn't work, death pushes didn't work, vision in the jungle didn't work, so they tried the Baron bait, and a mistake from World Elite ended up working in their favor.
And it's funny, isn't it, really, that the most unlikely of things is what actually worked for them there. It's very, very strange scenario. It is indeed, and that's why we all love it so much. And this push on the bottom is going to be complemented with Dyrus pushing the top lane out as well. Oof. See what Lustboy does. I think he sniffed something was up there.
Flirted with death there, I think.
Lustboy has really had a good game. I'm very impressed with what we've seen from him so far. He's just been everywhere. They got the early wards in that they needed. Of course, he was doing great in the 2v2 skirmishes, playing these team fights beautifully. He's really been outstanding.
And I think I like the way TSM has also responded to the threats from World Elite. When you go, 15 minutes back to the inner mid lane turret, where World Elite were trying to siege up, they had a numbers advantage. TSM opted to engage while being down in numbers. That's a risky call. And they took advantage of World Elite maybe not being on the same page, but it worked out. This could be a very scary team fight. Collateral damage has already been used, and TSM, they're the ones turning the engage back around.
Chipping in there, but it is Dyrus that makes the first big push right into the middle of the team, and half of them pretty much down to half health as the exhaust come in as well. Lustboy will fall down, but that may be the only casualty that they get here. Aluka is the next target. Santorin trying to stick to him. That is a current 1 for 4. Aluka did get away, but TSM might be able to push for the win.
Phenomenal target picking from Team Solomid. They are going to take out World Elite to pick up a fairly convincing win after some great decisions and movements around the map. Congratulations, Team Solomid.
Yeah, coming off that game too, I really am impressed by how TSM just catered to their opponent's play style right there. They had that strong early game plan about how they were going to deal with WE. They took them seriously, and it worked out. There was a little bit of stalling, I think, in the mid game and imperfect vision control, generally speaking. But beyond that, they did get the snowball they were looking for, and they came up with the plays when it mattered.
Yeah, and that might be the way to beat World Elite, or any team really that's got two very new players into the lineup. You try it time after time by baiting them, and probably once they're gonna have communication errors or something that's not quite there because of the fact they've got two standing players there. And well, we saw it as they came up towards that Baron. kills that really broke that game through. But either way, brilliant performance by TSM. They will be moving on to play CJ Enters next. But for now, we're going to head to Shox and the guys to break down that game.